Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about the 60 card Thunder Pale that I was playing in the Duelist Cup. This deck is a ton of fun really. I really wanted to try this out alongside a lot of the other 60 card variants that I've been playing. You know, I might as well. I've been absolutely loving Punk Thunder Dragons just as a rule, and this is just another way of playing it, and it's really cool. We're able to fit a lot of really interesting sort of fun engines in here. We're playing a lot of counters to max C, first of all. We got a wee danger engine here to summon out a bunch of different level dangers. We've got, you know, a punk little fusion engine to get to increase your punk engine's consistency. We got some chaos, including the Blackluster Soldier is actually a good card in this deck, which is nuts. Mainly here for the fact that it's an easy summon, banishing a light in the dark, and it's level primarily. But if you're going second, and this guy can attack twice or banish a monster on the field, that's pretty damn good going second. I'm not gonna lie, he's actually really good. And he's searchable off of Chaos Space, which is nuts. So we're able to play a lot of really cool cards. I absolutely love it. And we're able to take advantage as well of things like Left Arm offering more in this deck than we would be in other ones, because it triggers all your banishment effects, which is absolutely crazy. So we're going to be doing a card for card profile at the end of the video. If you want a detailed breakdown, stick around. I will be doing it at the end, card for card. For now, what we're going to do is jump into some gameplay so you can see how it plays, some of the good hands, some of the bad hands, some of the bricks, some of the combos, and sort of get to grips with what the deck actually means. If you've watched my previous Thunder Dragon Punk Ishizu videos, you're going to be sort of clued in on what the main combos are. You're going to know exactly what plays you're aiming to do. And this version of the deck is just aiming to build upon that base. You're looking to get additional extension out of a lot of your graveyard cards. You're looking to sort of really hurt your opponent's deck using your Necrophase and your Shizu cards. You're looking to special summon and spam it with your dangers. So it's the same type of idea and deck, except it's more aggressive, more gas heavy, and hopefully more overwhelming, because that appears to be what's winning games at the moment. It's not slow control that's winning games, it's not hand traps, it's not little negates, it's overwhelming your opponent. Seems to be what's winning most games in this current sort of format within the Duelist Cup, and I aim to take full advantage of that. So let's get into the gameplay. Alrighty, getting into game one here. This is going to be a relatively short game, just showing off some of the plays. We go E-Telly into Zeomin. Zeomin's going to pay to grab us an Ogre Dance. Ogre Dance is pretty handy to search a card later, but we're going to go Gold Sark. Gold Sark, banishing Thunder Dragon Roar directly from the deck. That means we can summon out a Dark, allowing us to Synchro Summon into the Chaos Ruler. Now that's slightly different from what you would normally do in this deck. Normally you would want to set up your Deer Note, but you know, opportunities are opportunities. You gotta live and sort of flow with the deck and the resources you have. We're gonna check the top 5. There's a Chaos Space, which is a nice hit. Gamma's a nice hit. We got the Blackluster Soldier and the Necrophase. Blackluster Soldier adding to the hand. This card is absolutely fire. We're gonna drop our Left Arm offering. We sort of realized that it doesn't even matter. So here's another thing I want to briefly point out. So many people are playing really big decks, right? So many people are playing big decks to the point where you don't even always need grass. Sometimes it's just not worth it. And now Left Arm Offering is able to grab you not only grass, but any spell card in your deck, so it's still useful, but don't tunnel vision yourself into just getting grass as soon as possible. Make sure you're just playing with the resources you've got to the best of your ability. So we're going to go Ogre Dance here. Ogre Dance, by tributing off the Deer Note, is going to trigger the Zeomin in the graveyard to be summoned to the field. We're going to go Zombie Vampire, milling 4, summoning 1. We're playing against Dark Magician. We actually steal their Dark Magician as a level 7, so we can. We also trigger our Kelbeck as well, but we steal his Dark Magician, so we can Synchro Summon into Baron de Fleur, which is really handy. We're going to go Chaos Ruler, banishing 2 to summon the Chaos Ruler back to the field, banishing the top 5 cards of both players' decks because of Necrophase, which is dope. Chaos Space is then going to shuffle a card back in our deck, allowing us to draw one, and our opponent scoops it up. We banished all their key cards. They were playing Dark Magician. We banished like all of their souls and stuff. All of the cards are in the graveyard. They just couldn't come back from it. There you go. I just wanted to show off a couple of the basic combos and plays. Most of the videos and replays with this deck are really short because a lot of people just... It's Scoop City. It really is. This deck is absolutely busted. But yeah, let's get into the next replay. Already getting into the next replay here. We're going second this time. Our opponent goes Pot of Extravagance here. Of course we ash the Pot of Extravagance. Are you joking? Pot of Greed? Absolutely not. Except maybe, you know, maybe Pot of Greed's fine. You can draw 2 cards. Ultimately, it does sort of result in him just having the same number of cards in his hand that he had before. And now we know that our opponent can't use Ash Blossom against us during the next turn. But they've got Necro Valley, they got Lord of the Heavenly Prisons, and they're going to set a bunch of cards here. They're playing full-on stall. And this is what I wanted to show. I wanted to show heavy hardcore combo versus heavy hardcore stall. We're gonna Allure of Darkness into the Thunder Dragon. We're trying to play as much as we can without playing a monster onto the field to suit our gamma, right? We're gonna go Thunder Dragon Dark. We're gonna grab ourselves a Hawk. Remember, he can't Ash us even if it's in his hand. We're gonna go Hawk. He's gonna try and use Maxi here. This is why we wanted to do these plays first, because now we've got Gamma. Gamma is able to negate the Maxi, and it puts some free bodies on our board. So summon out the Gamma, summon out the Driver. However, things do get a little bit dicey here. The Hawk's going to resummon back the Dark, and up flips. There can only be one. Unfortunately, we have to drop the Driver, and that is going to result in the Lord of Heavenly Prisons coming out to the field. But we are definitely not out of the game just yet. He's going to set Imperial Iron Wall, which isn't going to do him a ton of favors. We're going to go Jackalope, banishing, discarding Cult by the Grave, which was phenomenal. Going into Baron de Fleur. Now, we had a couple of options for what to pop here. We decide Necro Valley is going to be the threat so that we can use our Zeoman here. Zeoman grabs Deer Note. Deer Note being a warrior is annoying, but we're going to use Deer Note's effect to summon the Foxy Tune. Foxy Tune, being a 2300 beater, is going to give us at least the ability to get over this Guru. We decide, you know what? We only get one negate. He can't activate any of these. None of these cards have effects. He can't activate anything in the graveyard, so unless he top decks a really good card, we don't need Bronze negate, and we actually have a really cool play lined up in mind. We're going to see it in just a second here. So here's how we're playing through heavy control and heavy floodgates. Into main phase 2, we're going to link off into IP Masquerade, which is a Cyberse. Then during the end phase, sorry, not the end phase, during the standby phase, Baron de Fleur is going to tag itself out for Thunder Dragon Dark. So that means whenever we go Masquerade, which we're going to do now, we're able to link off the Dark to go into Unicorn, while also triggering off Dark's effect to search our deck, as well as bouncing a card back into his. That's pretty incredible. He's going to flip up his Iron Wall here. We don't care. We're not banishing anything. The Iron Wall was a bit of a iffy search, if I were to say so myself. Back goes the Lord, and there you go. GG's. Playing against combo, playing against control, playing against anything. The big thing about this deck is that if you're going to approach it from a fluid perspective, if you're going to look at every play and every hand and every card and seek plays instead of just trying to do the same combos, this deck's potential is literally boundless. You can do anything with this deck. You just need to know how to do it, which takes a lot of practice. So yeah, fantastic game. Let's get into game number 3. Already into game 3 here, and you can look at this hand and you're already sort of like, we did slightly misplay here. I didn't know that if you set Left Arm Offering, you couldn't use it, right? It says 2 or more other cards in your hand. So because it says other cards, this card has to be in your hand, right? So I messed that up. My bad. I just really wanted to use Nessie to pitch a Killback, and luckily we do. We're going to summon Nessie out to the field. Going to grab Mudora, which is a really unfortunate top deck, and our Killback actually gets hit with Ash Blossom. Now that's rather unfortunate. We did cut Mudora down to 1 because of basically because of this game, right? We did summon it out. We're going to go into Masquerade. On the off chance we are able to use Kelbeck here, but even then we don't have a card to discard, so it's sort of whatever. Our opponent's going to go into Live Twins and Sprites right off the bat. Zero hesitation. We're going to speed this duel up here because they're going to be comboing for a little while. We grab the Sprite Blue, grab some Jet. We're going to go Red, Carrot, Gigantic summoning from deck, and we decide, you know what? I got places to be. But there you go. That's an example. I wanted to show off the weakness of the Ishizu cards. The Ishizu cards are... Oh, alright. The Ishizu cards are absolutely terrible if you draw them. They're just terrible. I think Kelbeck kind of has a neat effect-ish. It's a neat-ish effect in hand, but man, it really doesn't want to work. It really doesn't want to work. Huh. I'm not connected to the internet. Kelbeck kind of has a neat-ish effect, but it's not that good, right? It's really not that good. And I wanted to show off that, like, the deck will brick. It can brick, it will brick. You're playing 60 cards, of course you're gonna brick. It's gonna happen. Anyway, I'm not gonna linger too long on it. Let's get into game number 4. Alrighty, getting into our 4th and final game here. This is a hand. We're going to go emergency teleport here. This was purely to see if he had Ash. We're going to go into our shark here. Now, unfortunately, we're going to get negated, and that fusion summon would have been real nice for us, but you know what? It's just a way of using up a hand trap. I don't mind at all. We're going to normal summon out Xiamen. Xiamen's going to pay 600, grabbing us the Foxy of Toons. Foxy Toons going to drop itself and Kelbeck to the grave. God, I love that combo. Kelbeck going to mill 5 from the top of both. We're going to Synchro Summon into the Chaos Ruler. I don't believe our opponent sticks around for too long. Chaos Ruler then triggering its effect, Dear Note. I just wanted to show off how, again, a completely different style of hand, right? Absolutely crazy. The Punk cards are insane. I love Thunder Dragons, I love Chaos, I love all of these things, but this is Punk, right? Punk is doing this. Gonna grab the Collapsor, gonna trigger a Guido, gonna mill another 5. What's our opponent playing here? Heroes. We're gonna go Zombie Vampire, detaching, sending another 4. There's freaking so many cards. We're gonna now Synchro Summon into Baron de Fleur, stealing their level 7 Baron here. Chaos Ruler, again, I'm convinced he doesn't stick around for very long. Look at how many cards we're taking out of his deck. We're 15 into the graveyard. Necroface then gonna pitch another 5. He's got 29 cards left in deck. He was playing goddamn near 60 cards. Gonna grab Thunder Dragon Fusion off of our left arm offering. We haven't used grass once. We literally haven't used grass at all. And our opponent decides to wrap it up here. And again, really straightforward. We didn't have that many more plays. We would have went in the Colossus and Masquerena, which would have been a pretty solid board, especially considering how much of our opponent's deck we wiped out. Incredible. Really straightforward. Let's get into the deck profile. Alrighty, so let's go through this thing one card at a time. Now, we're playing our Maxi counters. We're playing 2 Gamma, 1 Cypher and Driver. We're playing Ash Blossom, 3 Ash Blossom, and we're playing 2 copies of Cult by the Grave. Now, is that always going to hit Maxi every single time? No. But they're good enough generic cards, I feel like definitely warrant the place. You could play like Maxi of your own and play Crossout as well, but you definitely want to be playing as many counters to Maxi as you can. If you really don't like Gamma, you can play Droll. Droll and Lockbird is also a good one, but I like the Gamma in this deck. I feel like being able to summon it and drive her out to the field is pretty solid. Absolutely. Then we've got our Jackalope. So we're playing 3 Jackalope, 1 Nessie, and 1 Thunderbird for our Danger Engine. Basically, Jackalope, whenever you activate its effect in hand, you'll discard another card, special summon it if it's not that card, and draw 1. All of the dangers have that same effect, where you reveal it, your opponent picks a random card in your hand. If it is not the danger monster, then you special summon the danger monster and you draw 1 card. Now, they all have different effects when they are discarded though. So if Jackalope gets discarded, you get to special summon a different danger monster directly from the deck. So we're playing Nessie at 1 and Thunderbird at 1 to give us both level 7 and level 8 targets. When Nessie is discarded, you get to search your deck for a danger card and add it to your hand, so you'll typically search for your Jackalope. And when Thunderbird is discarded, you get to pop a set card. So this one's the weakest of the 3, but it being a level 8 is why we're playing it. So yeah, small danger engine. I don't think much more than that is necessary. You don't even really need to play the dangers, but they are useful. We're playing 1 Yukio Punk Sharakusai. So Sharakusai is here basically as a searchable fusion summon into the Rising Carp. This guy can activate his effect. He can pay 600 life points to fusion summon any punk monster. You're going to fusion summon out your Rising Carp. Rising Carp then tributes itself to summon any 2 punks directly from the deck, which is incredible. Basically just makes your punk engine that much more consistent. We're playing 3 copies of No Punk Xiamen. Xiamen then can pay 600 life points, grabbing any punk monster directly from your deck to your hand, which is dope. These guys are both level 3 psychic tuners, which is very, very important. So these 2 guys are incredible. They're sort of like your starter. I mean, your entire punk engine is starters, unironically. They're all amazing. But these guys are sort of the heart and soul of it as your tuners. We've got Necroface. Again, playing Necroface at least 2 I think is pretty good. Being able to banish it from the graveyard to banish cards from your opponent's deck is pretty awesome. It being able to reset your banish pile back into your deck is also really, really good against strategies like against Necroface, right? First of all, because Necroface is a pretty prominent deck out strategy right now. Runic as well is a pretty prominent deck out strategy. And as well, like, you're playing 60 cards, so the chances of them decking you out are slim to none. But it is possible, and sometimes you simply want to recycle a bunch of resources. So Necroface is definitely, I will play it at least 2, maybe even 3. The card's really good. We got the Chaos Twins, of course. Banish 1 to summon the other, or banish a light, banish dark to summon light, banish light to summon dark, and then when one goes to the graveyard, it searches the other. So these here are to be searched off of Chaos Space. We have a couple of other targets, but it's mainly the Chaos Twins. Fairy Tail Snow. Any deck you're playing at 60 cards, you're playing Fairy Tail Snow. I'm sorry, it's just that good. Banish 7 cards from your hand, field, or graveyard. Special summon it from your graveyard whenever you want, not once per turn. And whenever it's summoned, you can target a card your opponent controls and flip it face down. A monster. This card's incredible. I'm sorry, the flexibility it gives you can't be matched. It's amazing. In terms of our Shizu cards, we're playing 1 Keldo, 1 Mudora. These guys can banish themselves from the graveyard to target up to 3 cards in either player's grave and shuffle them back into deck. Great for recycling resources and denying your opponent graveyard control. And then Kelbeck and Agito, when sent from the hand or the deck to the graveyard, will mill an additional 5 cards from the top of either player's deck to the grave, or both players' decks, I should say. So they mill you a bunch of extra cards while also milling your opponent's deck, which will usually give you very useful information. So, really, really good cards. Triple Thunder Dragon Dark. Of course, this is the heart and soul of the Thunder Dragon package. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard or banished from anywhere, you get to search your deck for any Thunder Dragon card. Also, as a quick effect, you can discard it to add another Thunder Dragon Dark to hand. That's a quick effect, which means you can use it with your Titan. But yeah, Thunder Dragon Dark, definitely a 3 of. We got the single copy of Deer Note. You can reveal this and one other punk in your hand. Special summon 1 by sending the other to the graveyard. And if this card is sent from the field to the grave, you summon back a punk from the graveyard. This is a key integral part of your punk combo. Definitely need to play it at least 1. This is the card that makes the deck actually work, right? This is the heart and soul of the deck, ironically. But no, definitely at least 1. You've seen the combo time and time again. I'm not going to sit here, sound like a broken record, playing it again and again and explaining it again and again. If you don't know what the full combos are, pay attention to the gameplay, go back and watch it again, or go back and watch our previous videos. We talk about this over and over. Single copy of Thunder Dragon Hawk, of course, it's limited to 1. Discarded to special summon back a Thunder Dragon that is either banished or in your graveyard. That's going to trigger off your Colossus, basically, which is awesome. We're playing 2 copies of Roar. You could play it at 3 if you want, but I think 2 is fine. If this card is sent from the field or from the field to the graveyard, or if it's banished, you get to special summon a Thunder Dragon from your deck in defense until the end of the turn, then it bounces back to your hand. You can also discard it to add a Thunder Dragon card from your graveyard or banish pile back to your hand. So pretty solid effects all around. We did cut it down to 2 because I don't really like seeing it in my opening hand all that often. I would rather search for it off of Dark if I need it. I was tempted to play it at 1, but I feel like it, in combination with things like Allure of Darkness, is simply too strong. I couldn't pass up on it. Destrudo can summon itself from the hand or the graveyard by targeting a monster that is level 6 or lower, lowering this monster's level by that monster's level, and summoning itself out. So it's just a free extender, plus it's a tuner that has a modular level that you can change, which is pretty awesome. Being able to summon out a level 7 synchro basically built in is pretty dope as well. So definitely Destrudo at least 1. Really solid card. We've got the Blackluster Soldier and the Chaos Creator. These guys are our level 8 Chaos based targets. They can be searched directly from the deck, and they're both amazing. First of all, being level 8 is really useful in this deck because you want to be using your level 8s for your Zombie Vampire and your Hope Harbinger. You might even want to play number 90 in here. A lot of people have cut Titan in order to play more rank 8s. So being able to play a lot of level 8s definitely important. Blackluster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning, is now free to play. You can get it in the Gaia Structure deck, which is why I wanted to play it. If you're going first, it's only really useful. You basically special summon it out by banishing a light and a dark in your graveyard, which of course is super useful because you can trigger off all of your effects in your grave, which is insane. Secondly, if you're going second, it has 2 really useful effects. I feel like these are very underrated. You can target a monster in the field and banish it, or if it destroys a monster by battle, you can attack again, which is insane. Both of those effects are really good going second. Plus, don't forget this, it says target 1 monster on the field. If you really need to in a pinch, you can target your own monsters, like Thunder Dragon Dark, like Roar. You'll not do that very often, but it is something you can do, so it's worth bearing in mind. I think this card is unironically really good in this deck. Love it. Any chance I get to use this card, sign me up. Absolutely. And Chaos Creator is our dark target, so it is. You can special summon it out by banishing, yet again, a light and a dark. While you control it, you can target 3 banished monsters with different names, special summon one of them, and the rest go back into the deck. Really good. It's just a free extender. It itself, of course, is an extender, and then it gives you another +1 while recycling 2 of your cards back into the back into the deck. Again, you can't fault it. Amazing card. Absolutely a really solid target off a Chaos base. Then we've got our big punks. We've got Foxy Toon and Ogre Dance. Foxy Toon will discard itself as well as another punk in order to, another card in order to special summon a punk monster directly from the deck. Ogre Dance will discard just itself to add a punk monster from your deck to your hand. And they can both also tribute a punk on your field to special summon themselves directly out, which you saw in the gameplay. So these cards, again, both really good starters, really good extenders, searching for your Xiamen, searching for your Sharakusai. So yeah, pretty straightforward, self-explanatory, plus being lights and darks and being level 8s, all super synergistic with the deck. Foolish Burial, of course, being able to mill whatever you want to the graveyard is insane. Left Arm Offering, so typically the cost for this card, it's usually worth it, even in a deck that doesn't take advantage of it, but considering in this deck you have a whole bunch of cards that take advantage of being banished, or that don't really mind being banished because they can simply be summoned back or recycled later, Left Arm Offering's cost is a lot less steep in this deck, I'm going to be real with you, and its power as a reward, being able to search your deck for any spell card, is insane. We've got Gold Sark, banish any monster directly from the deck. You're going to be banishing your Necrophase, your Thunder Dragon Dark, your Thunder Dragon Roar, whatever it is you need, you got. You've got Allure of Darkness, draw 2, then banish a dark monster in your hand. We're playing a whole bunch of darks, and also a whole bunch of darks that have effects when banished, so Allure is a no-brainer. It's a free pot of greed, basically, and then some. And that grass looks greener, the crux of any 60 card strategy. It's not absolutely like mandatory in this deck, you don't need to resolve it because you naturally just have a lot of gas, but basically it just sends cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard until your deck size matches your opponent's. Now with more and more players playing decks above 40 cards, this is unironically becoming less and less useful, so we'll have to see what happens with this card. Thunder Dragon Fusion lets you fusion summon by shuffling back Thunder monsters from your graveyard, field, and banish pile to fusion summon a Thunder monster, which is pretty amazing, especially in the grind game where you need to recycle some of your resources. Helps you put your Hawk back in your deck if you accidentally milled it. Generally speaking, Thunder Dragon Fusion I think is mandatory, at least at 1. A lot of people are cutting this. If you really want to, you can, but I think this card's amazing. 100%. Chaos Base, discard a light or a dark and search for basically one of your Chaos Twins, your Blackluster Soldier, or your Chaos Creator of the opposite attribute. So if you discard a dark, well, you're going to search for either BLS or your White Dragon. If you discard a light, well, you're either going to search for your Black Dragon or the Chaos Creator. It can also banish itself from the graveyard to shuffle back into the deck a light or a dark monster that can't be normal, summoned, or set, to draw 1 card. So that is your BLS, your Chaos Creator, your Chaos Twins, or virtually any monster of your extra deck. So really good at recycling, extra draw power, extra searching, really, really solid. And Emergency Teleport, special summon either your Sharakusai or your Xiamen directly from the deck. Again, how can you complain about a free special summon straight from deck? Especially of your most powerful starters. And finally, Called by the Grave, basically here almost exclusively for Max C, but it also has, of course, a number of uses across the board. There is the main deck, quite a lot of cards, of course, a lot to digest, a lot of information. Take your time, play it, practice with it. It's going to take a lot of practice. It's not going to be something you just watch and then pick up and win games with. You're going to want to practice. Getting into the extra deck then, we of course have our Colossus. You special summon this by tributing any Thunder monster on your field so long as you've activated the effect of a Thunder monster in hand that same turn. So long as it's face up, your opponent cannot search their deck for cards. They can only add cards to their hand by drawing them, and it also, anytime it will be destroyed, you can banish a Thunder from grave instead. incredible card. One of the main reasons this deck is actually even worth playing. If this card wasn't legal, like it's banned in the TCG, if it was banned in Master Duel, we wouldn't be playing Thunder Dragons. I'm sorry, we simply wouldn't. Then we got the Punk Rising Carp. Basically tributes itself to special summon any 2 punks from your deck in defense mode. Pretty straightforward, I'm going to be real with you. It's not really all that complicated. It just makes sure that you can resolve your combo as effectively as possible. Then we've got our 2 Titans. Titan to be summoned off of Thunder Dragon Fusion. By playing 2, you're enabling yourself a resource loop that I talk about in every single video. A combo between Thunder Dragon Fusion, Roar, and Titan. Basically infinite resources every single turn. Black Rose Moonlight Dragon, one of the best generic level 7s, and a card that is growing on me more and more. This card is really dope. On summon, bounce a special summon monster back to your opponent's hand, and if your opponent were to special summon a level 5 or higher monster, you can bounce again, and that's once per turn. So basically it's an interruption every single turn, but it's mainly here for its level. Being a level 7 offers you a lot of versatility, and you can summon it in a lot of situations where maybe you didn't have the most ideal opening, or maybe you got shut down, or something didn't go according to plan. You're normally able to go into a level 7 at least. Speaking of, we have another level 7 here in the form of the Shooting Riser Dragon. Now this card, I overestimated the utility of. There was a little stipulation in its effect that I didn't read initially, saying that you can't activate the effect of the card you send off its effect. So I would probably go back to playing the Borreload Savage Dragon in its place, or something to that effect. Maybe even Omega would be nice. I'm not super sold on this final spot yet, but I think Omega is probably the way I would go with it. I really like Omega. Basically, you can use its effect on the field to snipe a card out of your opponent's hand until the end of their next turn, but it's mainly, the main reason I will play this is because while it's in your graveyard, you can target another card in your graveyard and shuffle both back into the deck. So it basically just helps recycle all of your extra deck cards, which is a major weakness of most decks that require their extra deck. You run out of gas. Not this deck, not at all. Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon. This card is on its way to the ban list. It is simply too strong. On summon, check the top 5 cards of your deck. You can grab any light or dark monster among them and add it to your hand, and the rest go to the grave. This card is insane. It is banned in the TCG, and for good reason, and I can only imagine Master Duel is going to follow suit. This card is crazy. You can also resurrect it from the grave by banishing both a light and a dark monster. It being a level 8 makes that phenomenal, because you can use it for your Exceed summons, and it can also be recycled back into your extra deck from the banish pile off of Chaos Space, which again just lets you continuously reuse this card. Crazy. Baron de Fleur, generic level 10 synchro monster. Once while face up Omni Negate, once per turn destroy a card in the field. Pretty straightforward. The Psychic End Punisher, as long as your life points are the same or lower than your opponent's, it is unaffected by card effects. It gains attack points equal to the difference between your life points and your opponent's life points at the beginning of every battle phase. And finally, you can pay 1000 life points to target one of your monsters and any card your opponent controls and banish both. Really solid card, really good level 11 little niche, absolutely mandatory. Number 38, Hope Harbinger, generic rank 8 Exceed, negate a spell card once per turn, pretty straightforward. But you could play as well, if you really want to, instead of playing Omega, you could play number 90, which is just like a generic rank 8 monster negate. So that's also an option for you. Just depends on what you have. I think, maybe the Photon Lord's better. I would need to test it. The Zombie Vampire is the main rank 8 you'll be using most often. Basically, detach a material, send the top 4 cards of both players' decks to the graveyard, and special summon any monster among them to the field, which is insane. It gives you an extender, plus it lets you see what your opponent is playing by sending the top 4 of their deck to the graveyard, and you're gonna typically summon it using the Chaos Ruler's material. You detach this card, and then you resummon this card to the field. Now you've got 3 monsters on board, and you can do whatever the hell you want. Striker Dragon is here exclusively for your little Chaos Twin package. You probably don't need to play this card in the 60 card version. I still do, but you can definitely cut it if you're tight on room. It's just here for the Chaos Dragons. Masquerena, link summon during your opponent's turn into your Nightmare Unicorn, which you will on summon, discard a card to spin a card back into the deck. And lastly then, Cross Sheep, whenever a fusion monster is in one of these little zones it points to, anytime a monster is summoned to a zone it points to, then you get to resurrect a level 4 or lower monster from the graveyard, and that's once per turn. So it's mainly here to recycle your tuners. I feel like the deck initially was not really able to utilize the synchro monsters to the fullest extent, and that was primarily because we weren't able to recur the tuners, and now we are. So it helps out that problem massively. And there you go, that is the full deck. I know I sort of speed ran through the extra deck, but I've talked about this so many times recently that I think people are starting to get the picture. It's really straightforward, so if you've got this far into the video and you haven't subscribed or liked the video yet, I don't know what you're doing. You might as well. Obviously you like something that was happening if you got this far, and I shall simply see you in the next one. Bye bye now.